That is a wrap. The Auburn Tigers have their first win in conference play. Caesar, they pulled it off. We're gonna get started here. I don't know what's going on with my.
What's going on with your mic?
There we go. There we go.
Okay, and we're back.
Now we're here. The Auburn Tigers have done it. They pulled it off. It is official. I am as happy as anyone here for these guys. The defense, the story of the game is the defense, guys. This is your post-game show. Jump on in here, drop your super chats. I want to thank everybody who stuck with us through the halftime stream. We streamed the game live for you today, so you guys got to hear a whole bunch of curse words from me. I put that down significantly for this post-game show. But before we get into your comments, definitely want to get into the stats here. 380 yards of offense for Auburn, only 331 yards of offense for Arkansas, 268 through the air for them, only 63 on the ground. So another great stout performance from the Auburn defense, holding people down on the run, man. I mean, they are so good against the run. They are ridiculously good against the run.
Yeah, I agree. Xavier Atkins led the charge. He was the spy on Jalen Green this game and did not let him do anything on the ground. Jalen Green actually had 14 yards on the ground total. 7 carries, 14 yards, average of 2 yards a carry. Xavier Atkins, that's you, buddy. That's all on you. An amazing game by him. I'm impressed with what this defense was able to do, not only just on the ground, but through the air, man. 4 turnovers total, 3 picks. Amazing performance by this defense. Masterful way to call a game by DJ Durkin. Again, these guys come out and play amazing every single week. I apologize for even doubting the man, Mike. Like questioning whether or not they can sustain this. They absolutely could sustain it. In fact, they won this game.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And I'm telling you, defense, again, the story of the game is defense, right? The defense had to show up. They held Arkansas to the same that they've held everybody, which is no more than 24 points. Alex McPherson able to find his leg in this one, which really helped put Auburn over the top. The score from the defense on the pick 6 kind of putting the seal on it for Auburn. Which man, I can't tell you enough. This was a bad Arkansas defense. They were bad, and I don't want anybody to be fooled. This offense still has a long way to go. I think they still have a long way to go.
You couldn't punch the ball in the end zone against one of the worst defenses in the SEC.
Yeah, one of the worst scoring defenses in the worst scoring defense in the SEC, the worst in terms of yards given up, and still, like, you didn't hit their averages in terms of what they give up.
You scored 26 points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They give up 443 yards per game. Auburn 380 in this one, but they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They did not shoot themselves in the foot. The one turnover by Jackson Arnold was finally enough for Hugh Freeze to say, "To the bench you go."
Yeah.
And it was a big one. It was a pick 6. So it felt like Auburn could have lost the game on that throw, the way this offense has been playing. So it's one thing to not be able to score, and it's another thing to physically give points to the other team on offense. So this is huge. This is huge for Auburn. Let's get into some super chats here. Big homie Lander says 33 points and your offense only scores 7. Actually, don't take that away from McPherson. Counts as offense. So he had 18 points on his own. So, yeah, 25 on offense. But I hear you. Big homie Lander. It was disappointing. And thank God McPherson was able to make some kicks today. Hargrove says, fought through adversity and got the W. Huge shout out to Atkins and Pleasant.
Yeah. They're the players of the game. I'm not picking between those two. They played an incredible game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just huge plays from both. If I had to give the edge to one, probably Atkins. I know the interceptions were big, but Xavier was all over the place today. NH3425 says Ash Train And Alex Juan Kenobi came up big today. Love that. Yeah, Ashton Daniels, just kind of a steadying force for the offense. They need to do. Cobb was throwing the rock today, man. 28 carries for 153 yards, 5.5 yards per carry.
That's my offensive player of the game.
Yeah,
amazing performance by him. 28 carries, 158 yards. Arkansas gave up 230 yards of rushing today. That's pretty much what they're known for doing. Auburn came out and ran the ball. Kudos to them for doing that. Cobb ate today.
He did. He absolutely ate today, and that's what you needed to see from him. So, like I said, again, it is what it is. But don't underestimate Ashton Daniels here with 7 carries for 35 yards, averaging 5 yards per carry, just kind of keeping that defense a little honest. Again, this wasn't a good defense that they went up against, but they got it done. D-Lee92 says, dope stream during the game. Definitely need more of that. Durkin for head coach. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I was a spur of the moment decision to see if YouTube would shut that down or not. Fortunately, they did not shut it down on us, so maybe we'll try it again for the next away game. Definitely not Cohen's burner. Says Durkin needs another raise. Pay him twice. This is one of the better Auburn defenses. We definitely haven't seen a defense this good since 2019. Right. That 2019 defense was very good.
It was special.
But they're only giving up 87 yards per game on the ground. And they came into this game giving 87 yards per game on the ground. So that average will go down a little bit with only 63 yards given up today and 17 points per game. So, again, that'll go up a tiny bit. But, I mean, again, you have not given up more than 24 points to anybody all year.
Really and truly. And, again, they gave up 17. They gave up 17 in this game. Like, the defense did their job and then some against an incredibly talented Arkansas offense.
Yeah. These guys were good offensively. I don't know what else to say, right? The record doesn't reflect how good they were offensively, but good God, man, Auburn, again, holds another team under all their averages.
Adjustments were made in the second half. Like, they held Arkansas to 3 points in the second. Think about that. They held Arkansas and Bobby Petrino to 3 points in the second half. Yeah. And, again, DJ Durkin has coached against this guy for a long time. Going back to their days at Texas A&M, he knew exactly what to do to stop these guys. And again, I cannot credit DJ Durkin enough for the adjustments and the calls that he made. Beautiful play call on that interception. Beautiful play call where he showed blitz and backed out of it in cover 2, and Rayshawn took it from there. Amazing.
Arkansas came into this game averaging 225 yards per game on the ground and 288 yards per game through the air. They had 63 yards rushing in this game and only 268 passing yards, so about 20 under their passing average. I had no delusion that they were going to stop the passing game completely, but making them at least somewhat one-dimensional. I mean, if you take away the play where Pleasant slips and they get this touchdown, like Auburn probably even wins this one even bigger, though. It felt like the field made a few tackles out there today. We got Dustin standing by here. We'll get him in here in just a second. Prince Chukwu says, was the solution this simple as a QB change? We'll talk about that in a second when Dustin comes in here. Tony Baker says, love this win, please, but no false confidence. Great D, but 33-24, only one offensive score. NH2 for 34-25 says, how about that catch from Coleman? Probably the play of the game outside of anything that happened on defense.
That's a top 10 play. That's ESPN top 10 play.
Oh, 100%. Taylor Green was playing for us in the second half. He did a good job getting the ball to our guys there in the second half. Mercy says this defense told the offense to sit down. We got it. Definitely a Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself kind of moment from DJ Durkin and his defense. And then Reed Minor Drum says that performance should be enough to make DJ head coach. I'll tell you what, like, that offensive performance didn't do anything to tamp down the calls for Hugh Freeze's job. Like, I don't think this game did anything to tamp down the calls for his job. So
again, if you I said it beginning of pregame, if you see Ashton Daniels, things aren't going well. Keep that in mind. Things were not going well.
Yeah, well, right after a pick six, right? Right after a pick six, that felt like, oh, here we go. Cool Breeze says, Ashton should have been QB1 from day one, poised under pressure and throws with anticipation. DJ head ball coach 2026. Exclusive TV says Jackson and Howard are going pack your bags. Y'all done. Yikes, man. Heavy says game ball goes to Alex and the defense. The defense showed up huge today. Let's get Dustin in here. Dustin, Auburn pulls off their first SEC win, taking down the Arkansas Razorbacks on the road, 33-24. Another great performance by DJ Durkin's defense here. They gave up only 3 of 8 third downs today. But the crazy part was their average yards per completion. The big plays were there for Arkansas in the passing game. And, man, they hit enough of them to not get completely run off the field in this one. I still have concerns, but I do want to celebrate the win because the defense, there were some guys that played their hearts out today. And I want to talk about those things first. Xavier Atkins, Rashawn Pleasant, Jeremiah Cobb with a huge game. And then and credit to Ashton Daniels off the bench, manage the game, don't lose it for your team, get them down the field, put them at least in scoring position. Man, what did you think about this one?
I'm happy for the players, Mike. You know, Xavier Atkins has been playing great football all year. Like a couple games ago, I was thinking, hey, this guy's on pace for an all SEC season. I think he might be on pace for an all American caliber season. He's balling out, and he's been doing that. So happy to see him get the win. Very happy for Alex McPherson to see him bounce back today, go 6 for 6 after missing those 2 kicks inside of 40 yards last week. So, you know, we all still have our issues with the coaching and our issues with the offensive scheme and everything like that, the play calling, all that is still true. But these players are working hard, and I'm happy that they were able to go on the road today and get a win. They deserve it. So, you know, and look, these are 2 cultures right now, Arkansas and Auburn, that have been finding ways to lose football games. Something had to give, and Arkansas said, hey, we'll commit 4 turnovers in the 4th quarter here. So, but still, Auburn found a way to capitalize on it, and looking forward, trying to be optimistic, trying to be hopeful. Maybe you found something in the second half there to where at least you can develop some kind of identity under Ashton Daniels moving forward and saying, okay, well, we know we can do this with him and take that. And, hey, look, there shouldn't be another game the rest of the years, guys, where Jeremiah Cobb's carries are under 20. Shouldn't be. You got to ride him the rest of the way. And I think he's capable of doing it. So feel good to get a win. And nobody wanted to be on a losing streak to the Arkansas Razorbacks. So, or to anyone.
Right. Yeah. Chris Gay says player of the game, Xavier Pleasant. Yeah, I think both
I'm gonna lean Atkins there. Just because of how he neutralized Taylor Green.
Every play.
Dude, he could not get away. Tony Baker, 747. Wow, Hugh pulled the plug on Arnold. Won a game against a horrible defense. Great job, Hugh. Now get out. Great job, Alex. 6 for 6. Very happy for Alex McPherson. Give him half a game ball at least, man. He went out there.
Sure.
Had a great day kicking after an over performance that really, kind of cost Auburn the game last week versus Missouri. But yeah, if you are in the camp that says, yeah, while I'm happy they won, I don't feel better about this offense just yet, that is completely valid. They scored 7 points.
Guys, two things can be true at the same time. We've been rooting from these players since day one and will continue to root for them. I am happy that these players got a win because they came to Auburn to win. So for them to get a win on the road against an SEC team, I'm happy for those guys. On the other hand, what's also true is that this offense is still a mess. Still a mess. And what they do with Ashton Daniels remains to be seen in the upcoming weeks. Hopefully, to Dustin's point, you start to establish some sort of an identity around what he can do well. In terms of instead of trying to force him into a system that is flawed, I want to see those guys. I want to see what this coaching staff can do with a new look offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Logan Fowler, senior writer, thewarreport.com, is going to join us here in a second. He's backstage. We got a few more super chats. Colton Beebe says, Cobb got me fired up, chirping with Wooden all game. Ashton showed pretty good poise for his first appearance this year. Atkins is an animal.
Good for you, Caleb Wooden. You got another loss. Good for you, buddy.
Mm-hmm. I thought Ashton showed a great amount of poise. Made the throws that were there. There was one on kind of like a broken scramble play where he just scrambles up the middle, finds the receiver in the middle of the field, makes a good throw, keeps the chain, positive play.
Yeah.
Keeps the ball out of harm's way. Those are underrated plays that I think that, when they're not made, we notice. And when they are made, somehow we don't notice. Heavy says, get right game for Auburn. Well, every streak starts at 1. So you've got a Kentucky game that you should win. And then what's after that? Vanderbilt?
Vandy. Yeah, Vandy.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a true get right game versus Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And then you got Mercer. And so if you're Auburn, you have a chance to be on maybe a 4-game winning streak heading into the Iron Bowl. I think Vandy is facing off against who right now?
Missouri.
Missouri, yeah. So 0-0 right now at the end of the first quarter here. Nobody scored a point in that game. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, that Missouri game was absolutely winnable by Auburn. They left so many games on the table this season. It's ridiculous. But the questions will continue to come in about the offense. Darius Lee says stats won't say, but the team rallied good around Daniels. I think the stats do say that. But it's weird to me that it feels like they were more apt to lean on the running game after Ashton Daniels came in. No silly throw.
Yeah.
Maybe don't trust him quite yet. I don't know, but I thought that the long bomb to Singleton was a very, very important play for him and his future here at quarterback, showing that you could connect on those deep balls, man, and just give these receivers a chance.
The combination of him coming in with Cam still being questionable, because Cam hadn't come in yet by the time Ashton Daniels came in. I think they definitely wanted to lean into the run after those two things happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get Logan in here. Logan Fowler, senior writer at thewarreport.com. Logan, they won. It didn't feel like they were always going to win, but they did it. Talk to me, man, about what you saw out there, man, offensively and defensively for Auburn.
Yeah, look, dude, I'm not gonna lie. About 9 minutes left in this game, I kind of thought Auburn was on its way to a 5th straight loss. But look, the defense, man. I mean, 4 back-to-back turnovers. Came up huge there at the end. Like you said, man, Ashton Daniels. They kind of had it was good to see a little bit of a difference in this offense. I think, a point you make, they kind of lean more on the run game with Daniels in there. And I think that's kind of more of a to toot, Ashton's horn. This is an RPO offense. Jackson Arnold, a lot of the times, has a decision to throw the ball in these scenarios. And I think Daniels was just making better decisions with the ball. Like, he sees pre-snap that it's a favorable box in Auburn's favor. Let's run the ball. Jeremiah Cobb's averaging nearly 6 yards a run. So I think that's pretty big, man. I think that it was time to make a change. I think that he played very well. Didn't necessarily have to air it out all that much, but look, a win's a win. I think that I don't think it's a stretch to say that Auburn's defense is one of the best in the nation, if not the, man. I mean, this team, week in and week out, what they have done to keep Auburn in games and to win games for Auburn, it's just outstanding. They just held, the explosive plays for Arkansas. There were still probably too many for comfort. There were like 6 quote unquote big plays.
Yeah, that's what they do, though, right?
Right. I was saying, but you overcame it. Your defense stepped up at the end and still did enough to win a game. I loved it. We'll see, man. We'll see if Auburn's able to kind of ride some momentum into the back half of the schedule. Like you said, these are all winnable games coming up for Auburn. Maybe the offense will look a little bit different with Ashton Daniels at the helm. So we'll see. I think Auburn needs to continue to run on what, in my opinion, is the top 3 back in the SEC in Jeremiah Cobb. I think he showed that today. That guy's unbelievable. So continue to rely on your strengths, man, and see where you can go the rest of the season.
Auburn's drive chart today: touchdown, field goal, punt, interception, halftime. And then after halftime, field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal. that was a drive chart in the second half. Now, again, defensively, you had the interception return for a touchdown in there, so it doesn't show on their offensive drive chart because it wasn't an offensive play. But finding points on every single drive, helpful, extremely helpful for Auburn.
Yeah, I want to say, again, huge bounce back day for Alex McPherson. That was great to see him go perfect 6 for 6. But like you said, you are finding points on these drives, and that's great. But there were still too many times today, even after the half, where Auburn just opted to drop back and pass when you get in the red zone and you're knocking on the door to score. Like, I still think that, if you want to win games like Vanderbilt, if you want to win games like Alabama, you're going to have to find a way once you get inside the 20, especially inside the 10 with a fresh set of downs, man. You've got to come away with 6 points, 7 points really on the board. And like you said, points are points, but, against a team like those two, you're going to have to find a way to escape those scenarios with more than 3 points.
Ron Dagiant says, so Jackson Arnold hitting the portal. Contract might not be renewed here at the end, depending if Auburn goes on this streak. You can't lose every game that matters. And it could be argued that, okay, Jackson won, but it was Arkansas. But at the time that he was pulled, it was not feeling like Auburn was going to win. It felt like more of the same. And you had to change something up. Hugh Freeze has been asked week in and week out about personnel changes at quarterback. This week was the first week that he actually committed that if it's not, he said that Jackson would start, but he actually committed to that they may play Ashton and that redshirting him was off the table. And that was important. That was very important. They took them 7 games to figure it out. And because it was close, they just stayed with it, not understanding if it's close, Jackson wasn't playing so well that you should not have tried Ashton to see if he could have given you some sort of spark or at least protected the football or made that one more play you could have needed to win some of those 1-score games. I don't know what else to say about it. Again, get your super chats in here. We're going to bring Caesar back here in just a second, and I'm going to jump out. But, before I go, I just want to say, look, Auburn, the players needed this one. The players needed this one. Hugh Freeze, I'm gonna say this as nicely as I can say it. I don't give a damn about Hugh Freeze anymore. He's making $6 million a year. If he's fired at the end of the season, he has a $16 million golden parachute. I care about these kids that committed to this program to win. So whether he keeps his job or not, I hope they find a winning formula because the kids deserve better. They absolutely deserve better. They deserved to feel what it feels like to win. And if some of the reports I'm hearing from the players right now, are true, I'm telling you, going on some kind of streak going into the Iron Bowl is going to be really, really important because offensively, those guys are starting not to believe that Auburn can get you there. Hugh Freeze has completely lost the ability to have complete autonomy over his offense. At the end of the season, guys, they got to go find an OC. They have to go find an OC. While Ashton steadied the ship for you, I would not say that this offense is fixed. Remember, this was one of the worst defense in the conference. And one of the worst in the FBS. Came into this game ranked 124th in total defense in the FBS. And you still gave up 24 points. Well, I'm sorry. They gave up 17 points. So I don't want to put that juju on the defense. But if McPherson doesn't hit 6 field goals, or if he hits 3, you could lose this game. Isn't that crazy to think he hits 3 field goals? You could possibly lose this game.
Mike, I thought that 4th down call that you got the false start on the jet sweep, I don't think you were going to score there. So that false start actually helped by backing up and being able to get the field goal. At least you came away with that one with some points. Otherwise, Arkansas is getting the ball back in a 1-possession game with the opportunity to go down and win the game.
Yeah. From an officiating standpoint, it was more of the same. I'm telling you, they stopped to play to review whether Ashton Daniels' foot was out, but not whether they targeted him as a defensive play. I was losing my mind, Dustin, because you know what? That should have been an automatic first down on a flag, and instead of a field goal, they should have had a chance to score.
Yeah, it makes a big difference right there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was pissed at that one. Let's get Caesar back in here again. I'm going to jump out. Caesar, you can jump in. I'm going to let you finish the conversation with these guys. This is your post-game show.
Can't hear you, bud.
You're muted.
There you go. So yeah, I got it from here. Listen, gentlemen, again, it feels good to see Auburn get a win, especially in conference. This was getting really bad. I actually have a very abysmal stat about losing streaks under Hugh Freeze. I'm going to wait to another time to share that because this isn't the right time to do that. But again, what do you think? I'm going to ask you guys this before we get into some of the comments here in the super chats. What do you think the future looks like with Ashton Daniels as QB1? And what are some things that you saw that this coaching staff can actually build upon going into Kentucky and going on the road against Vandy? What are some things? What say you, Dustin?
Yeah, I hope they found some sort of identity today. You weren't asking Ashton Daniels to drop back and make a whole bunch of reads. It looked like a different offense. It looked like you decided we're going to ride Jeremiah Cobb. And surprise, surprise, all of a sudden your quarterback was super efficient. So I hope you see what you saw in the second half. Lean on that running game. Now, you're not going to face another rush defense that's as bad as Arkansas's. You still should be able to do some things on Kentucky and Mercer. Vanderbilt and Alabama, that's going to be a challenge. Now, at times, you've seen that Alabama defense struggle to contain mobile quarterbacks, and some teams have been able to run the football on them. Seems like they've got a little bit better at containing that as the season's gone on here. There's definitely, if you play this offense with Ashton Daniels that you did in the second half, you should beat Kentucky, you should beat Mercer, so you should at least get to a bowl game with it. You should at least get to a bowl with it and avoid, another losing regular season. So there's potential to have something there. I think my bigger question, Caesar, is do they stick with it? Like if they find something that's working a little bit, do they stick with it? Do I have any faith in this offensive coaching staff to stick with something that's working it, or do they say, or when it starts to work, do they try to get too cute and say, okay, let's expand upon this a little bit and try to do what we were trying to do with Jackson? And that's really the big question for me. But yes, you are thin at that running back position, but I think that you've kind of, by not running Jeremiah Cobb in the first half of the season, he should be pretty fresh here for the back half. He's a talented guy. You can also obviously use Ashton Daniels' legs to take some of those carries away from him. So run the ball with Ashton. Really, I think the rest of the season, you should take that Baylor game plan, the second half game plan versus Arkansas today, and try to do that. And it was easy to do on Baylor. It was easy to do on Arkansas today. It won't be as easy versus the majority of the opponents you play the rest of the way. But that's really the only shot that this offense has to win. There's nobody on this roster. Look, Deuce has all the potential to be a great quarterback. Obviously, they don't feel like he's ready yet. There's no quarterback on this roster that can just drop back and make a bunch of reads and throw the ball all over to these weapons. As bad as we want that to be a thing, I think sitting at this point of the season, we can say that's not a thing. So lean on that run game. You have a defense that's 8 games in now and hasn't given up over 24 points. You should be in every game if you protect the football and continue to do that. So, and if you make your field goals like you have today, you can come away with wins in these kind of games. So that should be the game plan moving forward.
We got Ike Jones here. Listen, I'll
be live tomorrow morning on the Uptempo podcast, 9 a.m. Central Time. Appreciate y'all guys.
Appreciate it, Dustin. Ike Jones here with us. Ike braving it in the weather. Auburn,
man,
a dub, man.
You guys hear me? All right.
I prayed this for you, man. I prayed this for you. That's a long way to go for Auburn to lose. I'm happy for you. What was Hugh Freeze like in the post game?
Jubilance. He was happy, bro. Like he was. It was the situation where Coach Hugh Freeze definitely was just, he's happy for the players, I think, more than for himself. Like I think for whatever people feel about Hugh Freeze as a coach, he 100% has a heart for those guys that are in that locker room, and he wants to see them win. And you can tell he was just proud of their effort and all of the things that they did to prepare for this game and put themselves in a position to get the win. In addition to that, he was super proud of Alex McPherson. He couldn't say enough good things about Alex and the way that he bounced back. He told the story of Alex actually coming to him in his office after the last game, feeling like he lost that game for Auburn with him not being able to make those field goals. And he just felt really good for Alex to be able to bounce back and do that. So definitely good vibes all around.
Big story in this game. a change at QB. Ashton Daniels comes in towards the end of the first half, finishes the game out 6 of 8 for 77 yards through the air. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Also chipped in an additional 35 yards on 7 carries on the ground. What did Hugh Freeze have to say about Ashton Daniels and the change at QB?
He had 2 words to say: poise and maturity about Ashton Daniels. That was the theme of his comments on him. I asked him specifically, was he willing to say at this point in time that he's ready to make a change at quarterback to Ashton Daniels based upon the fact that Ashton did show that poise and that maturity, and that was something the offense had been lacking. And he said he's not ready to make that decision today. He's going to go back and watch the tape and really see what they need to do. But he'll reevaluate it and likely have an answer for us on Monday at the press conference.
Again, we talked about how amazing DJ Durkin called this game. Arkansas came into this game one of the top offense in the SEC and one of the top offenses in the nation. They got held to 17 points. They were not on the field long, and they had 4 turnovers in the second half. Did Hugh Freeze talk about the game plan defensively, or just how Auburn just managed to neutralize Taylor Green?
Yeah, I mean, basically, he gave a massive couple of funny things from this press conference. He made massive props, of course, to DJ Durkin, but he said that he went over and kissed Rayshon Pleasant on the forehead after that second interception. And he was just like really proud of that young man and what he did to prepare. They had some different combinations they were doing in the defensive backfield to try to rotate more guys so that they wouldn't be putting as many snaps on their typical corners with Headley and Crawford out there. They put Pleasant out there a little bit more, and it paid dividends in this game for them to be able to just mix up not just the coverage looks, but just tendencies of what they had on the outside, so that Taylor Green and Petrino never really got a beat on how they were playing certain coverages.
Yeah, and amazing. I think Pleasant might have been the DB who slipped and fell on the play where Arkansas scored. So amazing bounce back for him to have the type of game that he had.
Absolutely.
Leading rusher for Auburn in this game is Jeremiah Cobb. He had 28 carries, Ike, for 153 yards. I mean, he had an amazing game today. Did Hugh Freeze, was he asked about him, or did he give thoughts on Jeremiah Cobb and his performance?
Definitely talked about Cobb, and he said that they're going to have to make sure he has a light load this week during practice because he was out there toting the rock a lot this week. Probably need to get Omar Matson in a little bit more so that Cobb doesn't have that much punishment on him. But just an amazing game is what he said from Jeremiah Cobb and his ability to just go out there and be tough. And so, he had, what did you say, the number of total carries he had?
28.
Probably should have had about 30, 35, honestly, right? Like,
right.
Hugh Freeze didn't say that. This is Ike Jones saying this, right? That pick six doesn't happen if they actually just turn around and hand the ball off. So he at least should have had one more carry. But yeah, so absolutely a great game by Jeremiah Cobb, acknowledged by Hugh Freeze.
And Omar Matson had 18 yards on 3 carries, averaging 6 yards a carry. I think he should have gotten a few more carries to take some of that load off of Jeremiah Cobb as well.
Matson is a tough toter, bro. Like when he is a guy who, if it's going to be a game where we're going to turn around and hand the ball off, I would 100% say give the ball to that young man and let him go punish a couple of linebackers, because when he gets to the second level, he's running with bad intentions, bro.
Yeah. The report on Cam Coleman on the game coverage saying that the reports came back negative. So he was probable to come back. He did come back out there, still trying to stay loose, not letting that ankle tighten up on him. Did Hugh Freeze speak to Cam, or was he asked about Cam Coleman in the post game?
Wasn't asked about it, but he did, I think, mention briefly that we got to try to make sure that they get Cam healthy this week. But nothing. I don't think that they think it's anything too serious. If nothing else, they'll probably just limit his reps during the week and let him test it out. But he did talk about like how Cam and Eric Singleton probably need to be on ESPN for the 2 catches that they had in this game.
Yeah, 2 amazing catches. 2 amazing catches by those guys. Ike, your thoughts about what does this mean for Auburn moving forward? One of the things that I made mention of is that I'm happy for these players, but this offense, there's still a lot that this coaching staff has to figure out. And again, you've already mentioned he's going to have to go back and evaluate what does the future of Auburn's offense look like after today? What are your thoughts about where this offense is heading?
Yeah, I think it doesn't mean a lot, honestly. Like you didn't get any red zone touchdowns because your offense was able to move the ball between the 20, but then you sputter out at the end. One of the things that he mentioned and what was difficult about this evaluation specifically for Jackson Arnold is how good he looks early and trying to figure out why does that not be consistent throughout the game. So I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not they do go to Ashton Daniels, what the game plan looks like for Ashton, because though Ashton Daniels is an amazing athlete, he does not have the same kind of arm that Jackson Arnold does. And so they're going to have to look differently at how they throw the football with him in the game. So that's going to be very interesting to see kind of what that game plan is going forward if Ashton Daniels is going to be the quarterback. He did say that they already plan to play Ashton in this game regardless. And the only reason they hadn't played him before the interception happened is because the offense was seeming to, they moved the ball into the red zone 3 straight trips, right? Like they went, except for the way they had the 3 and out one time, but they're still, they had very consistent offensive progression up until the pick 6. I mean, they were down in the red zone again.
Yeah.
And so there was no reason to pull Jackson Arnold at that point in time. But it just made it a no-brainer after that.
Yeah. Ike Jones covering live from Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Auburn wins 33-24. Get some rest, safe travels back. Appreciate you covering the team, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, peace. Holla, y'all.
All right, man. Let's get to some of these comments, and Logan, we'll get some more thoughts for you before we get out of here. We do have a new member. BH became a member. Welcome, sir. Exclusive TV with 499 says, safe to say Jackson should have been benched after Texas A&M. Ashton looks comfortable back there. Gotta love it. We can party tonight. Let's see here. I think he comes back and says that's how you finish a game. Let the run begin, Hugh. Let the run begin. He wants to finish out the season strong. JD WDE says 4 quarters with Ashton, we win by 20. What y'all think?
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what Ike just said. Like, even the last 3 weeks, Jackson Arnold has come out of the gates on fire. He's moved the ball. He scored touchdowns on 3 opening drives consecutively. It's weird to see why, like you said, it's weird to see why it just kind of goes stagnant after the first quarter, first quarter and a half. I don't know if Ashton makes, that much of a difference in this game because, again, you only had like 1 or 2 drives where you weren't necessarily scoring points with Jackson Arnold back there. So, yeah, I mean, I think Auburn obviously probably – I think you kind of still see the same result whether Ashton goes all 4 quarters or not, to be honest.
I mean, and to Ike's point, they were moving the ball in the first half. There wasn't any stalled drives. You went down and scored first drive of the game, kicked a field goal the next drive. You look like you're about to score another touchdown in the second drive, to be honest. So Auburn had been moving the ball very well, and then boom, you have a pick 6, right? Yeah. It's one of those demoralizing plays that can truly change the outcome of the game. And really, you had to make a change at that point because what confidence did you have that he would come back and continue to make the right decisions and right plays, or is he just checked out? So again, I think that was a great decision to go with Ashton Daniels. Paid off, and again, Auburn started moving the football, and it was encouraging to see. D-Lee92 says, does this win cool off the hot seat temporarily? What say you? What say you there, Logan?
I mean, yeah, temporarily, I think so. I think that I think it was a good win for Auburn. I think it was a good win for the fan base. And obviously for Hugh Freeze and the players. I think that, we were talking pregame and at halftime, like if you lose this game, dude, how do you come out and continue to support Hugh Freeze? Like I said, the second half of this schedule, every game seems winnable. And I'll say every game because, you just got done playing 4 straight ranked opponents and they were all 1-possession games. Well, now the back half of your schedule, you get Kentucky, you get Mercer, and you get Vanderbilt and obviously Alabama. So I think it cools it off temporarily. I think that he's going to need to back it up with a couple of wins. Obviously, if you go back out and lose Kentucky next week, then you're kind of right back where you started, and it's at home, and it's a night game, so that'll just kind of add the cherry on top. But I mean, I think he's safe right now, man.
I think with a large contingent of fans, no, it doesn't cool off the talk. With the people who matter in this decision, yes, I do think this cools off. I didn't talk about this, but if the people, if the administration, boosters, people whose opinions really do matter, if they really if they believe that 2 games have been stolen from Auburn this season, right? The Oklahoma game, the Georgia game. In your opinion, Logan, what was the floor in terms of wins and losses for Auburn this year? What was the absolute floor? Like Hugh Freeze is safe with this record at least.
I thought going into it, if he gets 7, he's okay. 8, he's safe. I think 7, you could have made an argument for how the losses looked. Then, okay. I still think that there's a way, obviously that he gets to 7, and I think that you could probably make a case for him to be Auburn's next head coach, or Auburn's head coach heading into 2026. But it makes me scratch my head when I hear that they're still supporting Hugh Freeze based on those losses in the officiating, because again, up until the final drive in the Georgia game, man, you had 15 yards of offense.
Yeah,
that's not.
I agree. I agree.
It makes me just scratch my head when they say that. No, I think that Hugh Freeze needed, like, it was a must that he gets to 7 wins this year. That's attainable. I think he was safe with 8. I think anything less than 7, he was probably out of here either way.
So 7 or 8. I would have said 8. 8, we're not having a conversation about Hugh Freeze's future at Auburn, right? So that means Auburn has to win 6 games now. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but if you believe that 2 of your games have been taken from you, then Auburn needs to win 6, and you make that argument.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Again, it's not about the end result, because this argument works if you're talking to someone who hasn't watched Auburn football, right? But if you've watched these games and you've seen how amazing Auburn's defense has had you right there at the cusp of victory, but the offense, for whatever reason, can't seem to get the job done, and you're an offensive mind, you're the offensive coach, and year after year, the floor is too low for the talent that you have. I don't know how you can continue to make that argument when you hired Hugh Freeze for the sole purpose of improving the offense that had a very low floor when he arrived. For it to be 3 years and the floor is still low, that's an indictment on the head coach, and it has to make you revisit, did we get the right person? Apart from whether or not Auburn finishes 6-6 or 7-5, best case, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the floor is way too low for this offense still, and I think Hugh Freeze has to answer for that. There has to be some accountability in that regard. All right, Tony Baker 747 says, I do like DJ, but a good defensive coordinator does not mean good head coach. And let's slow down on all these guys that just lost their job. Want to look up, not sideways. So his point here is that not everyone becomes Kirby Smart. Not everyone becomes Dan Lanning. Sometimes people become Will Muschamp.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's
a fair point. Look, totally good point. Look, DJ Durkin has been a head coach at the P4 level before. Now, it wasn't Maryland, but he posted a losing record. It was 10-15. So, I mean, we know what DJ Durkin has done as a head coach, and he's going to have some supporters if a move is made. He's going to. But, I mean, I agree.
He'll be auditioning. If you fire Hugh Freeze midseason, he's auditioning for the job.
Which is why I always thought, like, if you're Auburn, if you're the decision makers at Auburn, let's say Auburn would have lost the game today, and you still want to ride out with Hugh Freeze to the end of the season, that's why it never made sense to me. Like, you've got to give DJ Durkin his audition, his tryout. because he's, like we say, he's going to have the supporters. Again, I kind of agree with you, Tony. I don't necessarily think that just because you're a great defensive play caller that it's going to transition into you being a great head coach. I do think that he's got the way you watch this Auburn defense play. They play, they take after DJ Durkin. They're fierce, they're competitive, they fly around, and you look at him on the sideline, and he's fierce, competitive, and he's flying around. But I mean, no, that's an interesting point, and I can agree with that.
I can make a strong argument for DJ Durkin. Here's what I'm wondering. I don't know this, right? What I'm wondering is, if you are a decision maker, it's either Hugh or somebody else. And one of the challenges, Logan, with firing a coach mid-season is, worst case, a guy that you probably aren't considering for the position makes a strong case. That's what happened 3 years ago with Cadillac, right? Cadillac got in there and galvanized the fan base, right? You saw the opposite in attendance in that A&M game versus what you saw today at Arkansas, where a lot of fans didn't show up. Now, we know rain and weather had a lot to do with that, but Auburn was electric after Caddy took over as interim, and you actually had to kind of consider Caddy given how the players responded to him, the fan base responded to him. It was just a new level of excitement that hadn't been there. And so if your mind is made up about which direction you want to go, you don't want to complicate that by having someone enter into this scenario who probably should get a real look at this job, right? Yeah. You keep a lot of players intact with DJ Durkin because obviously they are familiar with him. He's familiar with them as well, right? But I do like the idea of DJ Durkin because I think the way we've covered this team and what we've heard and known to be true about him, not off the field, his preparation, his attention to detail, if that seeps over into the offensive side of the ball, Logan, Auburn's in good shape. They're in good hands, right? I should say this. They're a lot better team. They'll be a much better team with that type of scenario than they currently are today.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's all we're asking for, is for them to be better.
Yeah, that's why I've always, I mean, since the beginning of this, Hugh Freeze's gone talk started, my opinion has been like, if you're Auburn, man, get a defensive minded guy in there for once, please, and just let him. Because again, I think, and Ike has said this before, it's a lot harder as a head coach and a CEO to call your offensive plays than it is for a defensive guy like Saban and Kirby and those types of guys to be a CEO and also have input on defense.
Unless you got somebody that you just trust, like Kalen DeBoer and Grubbs. Like, he trusts Grubbs to run his offense, right? He can hand it over and do other things. Right. So unless you have one of those guys, which you doesn't, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I agree with you wholeheartedly. There. Let's see here. Alan Brooks says, if we hire Franklin, we're saying Penn State is a better destination for winning. So he's not big on Franklin there. I think Franklin is a good coach. I do. It's something about, I don't know. Getting fired from Penn State has to kind of dim your shine a little bit. You would have to imagine that would almost have to kind of make you hesitate, given what we've known about how he performed up there, his loss against those, big time games. He has to have lost some of his appeal to an extent. Now, I'm not saying no one's not going to pick him up. He's definitely going to get a look in a few interviews. Don't get me wrong. If he wants to coach next year, he's going to have a job. But it kind of makes you wonder a bit. It's not like he stepped away from coaching or some situation like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually think that his firing at Penn State was a little premature. Like, yeah, they lost 2 games and they were bad.
I thought it was premature too as well.
But yeah, this guy had Penn State in the playoffs last year. He posted, I mean, pretty consistently posted 9-10 win season at Penn State. And, I think, like you said, man, I think he's a good coach. Do I think that if the opportunity presents itself, do I think Auburn should go after him? No. I mean, just I wouldn't be totally upset about it, but
No,
I
I would
do
be
think that,
upset.
yeah, I do think that there are better options out there. Um, it would kind of get tricky to hire a guy who just got fired for apparently being
Yeah,
at Penn State. So
it
that's
dims it, right? It dims his light a little bit.
yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you again. If the floor of the Auburn's offense is low and you're hiring a guy who had an amazing defense and an iffy offense at times,
Mhm.
is he a good fit for what you're trying to do? Like, you want someone who's going to fix Auburn's offense.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
that would be my thing there.
right. I totally agree. Now, let's say, though, that let's say he was an orange and blue and he did consistently post your 9 and 10 win seasons and get you in the playoffs. Would it be okay for James Franklin to beat your Oklahomas, beat your Arkansas, beat everybody on your schedule, but then
Yeah.
lose the big games to Georgia and Alabama? How do you think that would shake up with the Auburn fan base? You got 2 losses on the year. You might go into the playoffs, but you're still not consistently beating Georgia and Alabama.
You end up being Georgia and Mark Richt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like we're good, but obviously there's 2 teams you got to go through to get over the hump, and you're clearly not getting over the hump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're Georgia and Mark Richt. Like, this is going to work well for a while. Like, if you're doing that, it's going to work for a while, but those voices will start getting, those whispers will turn into normal audible voices, and then they'll turn into screams if you keep losing to those 2 teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Auburn head coaches used to get fired for not beating Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'll buy you some time because you're in the playoff talks, but it'll get old after a while. It'll get old. All right, guys. Well, let's see. Do we have any more? Any here? No, I don't see any more super chats, but we're going to get out of here, guys. Auburn gets a dub. Logan Fowler, appreciate you, senior writer at the War Report. Appreciate you joining us, man, for the pre-halftime and the post-game reaction. We're going to be here tomorrow. At least me and Mike G will be here to talk the win on the weekend tailgate. You definitely want to be on with us to give our thoughts about that. Mike, you jumping in?
I'll dump it back. Auburn won.
You have some thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
I do have some thoughts. I'm sure you guys cover most everything, but man, this game was about DJ Durkin in my mind.
Yeah.
Boy, they showed up. They showed up, and they showed out for the Auburn family today. That was a defense we could be proud of. That offense was running it up on everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely everybody. And they held them under all their averages offensively, all of them. Come on, man. What are we doing here? That's what disciplined, motivated football looks like defensively.
Yeah.
Offensively, it's still a long way to go, man. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
They got a while to go offensively. Cam Coleman is on an amazing acrobat touchdown catch, and that was the extent of your offense in the red zone. The rest of it was just Alex McPherson kicking field goals. If the defense,
hey, Mike, another great first drive, and then stalls. Yeah,
then stalls.
Yeah,
come on, dude.
Yeah,
we still need I don't care. Like, the whole thing about it being close. Did that offense look much different than any of the other offenses? It wasn't. Only 380 yards of offense. The only difference was Alex McPherson kicking 6 field goals in a game to make sure that this didn't wind up another spectacular Auburn loss. Defense threw in a touchdown for you just to kind of keep it close. But if they don't get that, Auburn squeaks out of this one. Game 8 is what it took for this coach to decide that maybe a personal change at quarterback might be appropriate.
Disaster.
Like if we're close, let's find somebody who could get us over the hump.
Yeah.
Ashton did that today. Again, it won't look gaudy on the stat sheet. But the completion to Singleton down the middle, huge. Give this man some time to practice as QB1 and develop the same kind of chemistry with Cam and Perry and those guys. Perry had one that he went to the ground on the sideline on an out that I thought he probably should have caught. Looked like he was interfered with a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, come on. What are we talking about here? That's 6 straight L's for Arkansas. In those losses, they have scored 42, 31, 31, 35, and 13. They have scored more than 30 points in all of their losses, except for one versus Notre Dame, where they lost 56-13. Auburn held them to 24. Easily their lowest point total outside of Notre Dame of the year. They've been running it up on everybody, fellas. Nobody has run it up on Auburn. Nobody. Go back to practice, Hugh, and figure out how you can get Jeremiah Cobb the ball 25 times effing game from here on in. I want to see a single stat box that has him carrying the ball less than 20 times a game. And do not go back to Jackson Arnold at quarterback. Put him in the break in case of emergency case with the fire axe.
Deuce is already in there. Sorry.
Come on, man. What is this? It just makes me mad because I'm like, they could have been doing this all year. You could have been in the playoff discussion right now. But you're stubborn and you don't change, and you waited until the season was FUBAR before you would make a damn change at quarterback. Auburn fans, these players, they deserve better. For the last 30 days, I have been listening to stories of former players saying, we are not surprised at this. This is what's been going on the whole time. Hugh doesn't get credit for this win. He don't get credit for this win because it was more of the same. The only difference was your defense did even more than they have been doing. You managed one offensive touchdown. You don't get credit for this win. One. So if you are in the comments right now and you're saying, hey, this didn't do it for me. I still want them to go. I understand. I 100% understand. They play like that offensively versus Vanderbilt, they might get beat. You play like that offensively versus Alabama, you might get beat. Because those are not the worst defenses in the FBS. That's what it took to get a win. They have to go against the worst defense in the conference just to kick 6 field goals. I want people in the back to hear me. They had to go against the worst defense in the conference just to kick 6 field goals and a touchdown. Yikes. We have to do better. This is way too much talent. I'm telling you, there is a very, very prominent former player that has described, he said, if I had 2 words to describe this coach, it would be fraud and it would be coward. Because he thought he was coming to play for a guru, and he was shocked to figure out that he seemed like he's far from that. The results support his position. I'm not sure it takes a guru 7 games to figure out that he needs to change his quarterback. Ashton Daniels, 6 of 8. 6 of 8. Well, they got Stats Broadcast has him 6 of 8.
No, 77 yards.
Yeah, for 77 yards. Jackson Arnold, 7 of 12 for 73 yards. He gets the touchdown because Cam Coleman bailed him out. But he also was plus 7 points for Arkansas. So he's net 0 points on the day because you scored a touchdown and you gave one to them. The rest was DJ Durkin and Alex McPherson. We got to just start telling the truth about this, because if we're to believe what Philip Marshall is reporting, there are a bunch of delusional boosters who think Hugh should be 7-0 right now, 8-0 right now. And I'm like, no, because if you think that and you're telling him that, he's not going to change shit. Get an offensive coordinator in here. Give up the offense. Focus on recruiting. Focus on being a CEO and let these people do their jobs. He can't interfere with Durkin, which is probably why the defense looks so good. This was Philip Montgomery's gripe. You're interfering with the offense, and then you're scapegoating me for the results. Philip leaves. Does it look any better? No, we still having the same conversation. Yeah. This game, I'm happy for the players, but this game upsets me, man, because they could have been doing this the whole time. Average offensive results, and Auburn is sitting here a 1 or 2 loss team.
That's what's so criminal about this. We're not even asking for Auburn to be top 5 SEC offense. Just be okay.
Yeah, without this defense, they're not making a bowl game.
Yeah.
If this were an average defense, they're not making a bowl game. They made DJ Durkin the second highest paid assistant in the country this offseason when Ohio State was coming. Ryan Day was coming. He wanted DJ Durkin. He saw what Auburn was cooking, and he was like, yo, bro, come here where we can't win championships. Well, you can't win at Auburn. They got there most recently. They're the defending national champions. They wanted DJ. They understood the brand of ball that he fields week in and week out. It craps excellence, man. Those guys are playing sound, fundamental football, and they are making plays. Offensively, you got just as much talent, if not more. But where's the development? Where is the scheme that puts them in the position to make plays? Where is the coach that has the intuition to know when to pull the plug and when not to pull the plug? Two things can be true at once. Auburn has absolutely gotten screwed by the referees this year. They tried to do it in this game. But also, you have enough talent to overcome that. Oklahoma is the one that I will give you, because they took points away from the defense in that one as well, too, on what should have been a fumble upheld. Yeah. In a game that you lost by, 6 points? So Oklahoma, I won't hold you on Oklahoma. They absolutely got screwed. Georgia, yes, they got screwed, but we don't know that the result wouldn't have been the same. Just maybe a little closer on the scoreboard. A&M, you did nothing offensively, so I don't want to. There were bad calls in that game, but I don't want to hear about it. You played so poorly offensively, I don't want to hear
the
it.
argument could be made that those are your 2 more egregious losses.
Yeah.
A&M and Missouri. Those are the fireable losses in my opinion.
You win those games, Caesar, +2. Now you're sitting here with 6 wins and 2 or 3 losses, 2 losses, and you're good.
Yeah.
You're right where, hear me out, Brian Harsin was with Bo Nix going into his first November. 6-2. They were talking about Harsin like he was going to be a candidate for SEC Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. Then Bo got hurt and it all fell apart. But this was an important win for Hugh Freeze if he has a prayer of staying the head coach. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't really show me anything in this game other than doing what we've all been saying he should have been doing, which is just handing the damn ball to Jeremiah Cobb. Nothing special about that. And changing the quarterback after he threw a pick 6 that almost cost you the game and all the momentum. Durkin stepped up, man. They tried to give all the momentum back to Arkansas at the half, and Durkin came out after the half and got you the ball back 2 straight times. Arkansas's drive chart in the second half: punt, field goal, interception, fumble, interception, interception. That was their second half drive chart.
Yeah.
Punt, field goal, interception, fumble, interception, interception. That is the literal definition of letting you do nothing. They don't do anything in the second half. Come on, man. We've got to do better. Auburn, these players, these guys, they deserve better. They deserve better than what this staff has been giving them. I'm sick of watching it. So, my message to Auburn fans is, like, if you are skeptical, I understand. But the players still deserve your enthusiasm. If you had ire for Jackson Arnold, well, he's on the bench now. Don't let your ire for him transfer to ire for Ashton Daniels or whoever takes over at quarterback, because they are not responsible for what the rest of the season is. I promise you they're not. It's a hard thing to be asked to come off the bench mid-season and rescue a team's season. It's very difficult. But that also is the lot you drew, and that's football. You got to be ready when your number's called. But you also have to go out there and do what you're told and do what is game planned. And if they are not enough to overcome that, I want fans to have some grace for Ashton or Deuce if we see him. Because once I have a feeling that there's a good chance we see Deuce once he can't burn his red shirt anymore. He played in one game, I think. So by Vanderbilt, you're off the hook.
Yeah, I agree.
For the rest of the season.
Mike, I don't trust his coaching staff with Deuce.
I don't know if Deuce trusts his coaching staff with Deuce.
Smart guy
at the moment. Yeah, so
Smart
they
kid.
really need to show something, because the inability to move away from Jackson when he is clearly playing so mediocre and your team needs a jump would be concerning to me if I were Deuce.
Yeah.
So, what would it have taken for him to get? I think the plan was always to try to redshirt him this season. But also, what did we kept hearing that he was coming along faster than he wasn't as much of a project as they thought he was coming in the door. And I said this, pregame and halftime, but I'll say it here while we got over 500 people still on with us. There is dissent on that offensive staff right now over how quarterback has been managed. There are people on that staff right now that do not agree with how they manage quarterback to date. And right now, you'd have a hard time trying to sell to them that they're wrong. Given the results, 7 for 12 versus Arkansas, versus one of the worst pass defenses in the FBS, and a pick 6 on a play that is solely on the quarterback. I'd love to hear him explain that away. It's on the quarterback, man. He flubbed that one completely. He threw a weak out on a play where the DB jumped it easily, he caught it in stride, and then ran up the field like it was nothing for a touchdown. He's not seeing it. I'm not sure that this is the staff to help him see it, though. This is one of the criticisms we had for Gus. All the quarterbacks that he had that were successful were transfers that had largely been developed other places. Ashton Daniels fits that mold. He got all his training somewhere else, man. They can't really claim any of his development, if you ask me. And he's played a lot of P4 football, which, quite frankly, should be good enough to win Auburn games with the talent upgrade around him. If he's at Stanford, does he have a guy that can go up and make the catch like Singleton made? Does he have a guy who can go up and get a catch like Cam Coleman made for Jackson Arnold? Doubt it. So the methodology that they were trying to apply to Jackson could apply to Ashton or anybody else on this roster. Meaning, if we upgrade, we raise the floor around the quarterback, we'll get better results. All he has to do is just give him a chance. He gave Singleton a chance to make a play, and Singleton made a play.
Yeah.
He gave guys chances to make plays, and they made plays for him. If he had started this whole game, I would guess his whole stat line especially with those first 2 drives, might have looked something like 250 and 2 TDs. If they had given Ashton Daniels the whole game. So I don't know. I just don't. It felt like maybe they didn't trust his arm as much, but they seemed a lot more willing to stick with the run when Ashton went in than they did with Jackson. And that was all that was required to win this game, was literally hand it to Jeremiah Cobb. He was a walking first down in this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Auburn still, in spite of it, this offense only converted 3 of 12 third downs. Now, they were 2 of 2 on fourth down, but 3 of 12 on third down, man. Fortunately, they only gave up 3 of 8 on the other side. But
and that's after them averaging 6 yards per first down attempt, too.
Yeah.
So, second and almost short on almost every play. Yeah. They had to try to get behind the chains. And that 3 and out in the second half, I think I tweeted this out. Not one run on that 3 and out.
And then some of the runs I didn't understand. Like you're handing the ball off to Eric Singleton, asking him to cut up field on a wet turf. Yeah.
Don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. I think it was in the second quarter. It was the third drive of the game. The time of possession, 1 minute, 3 seconds. They went 3 plays for -9, and they punted. I think that was one of only 2 3 and outs on the game that Auburn had, but they didn't run the ball on any of those 3 and outs. The run game was actually setting them up for third and short or manageable almost every time. Run the ball twice, and you're almost a guaranteed third and short in this game. So when you just have to win games, you just go with what works. They haven't been able to stop anybody from running the ball all year. We thought he figured that out versus Baylor. Right? They just kind of stuck with it because it was working and Baylor couldn't stop it. This game should have followed that same script. Final score should have been something like 42-24. But you couldn't score touchdowns. That was the difference, was he got touchdowns in that Baylor game. And in this one, we needed Alex McPherson to kick 18 points in. I'm exhausted and I'm tired of watching these kids do less than what I know they can do. Because their coach didn't prepare them well enough or cannot recognize where there are areas of the team that are holding other areas of the team back. But thank God for DJ Durkin, man. I know a lot of people are really anti him as head coach, and they think, oh, well, I would remind everyone, Gene Chizik delivered an undefeated season in Cam Newton. He was head coach at Maryland. I get it, but like I would really like to see him get a shot to do this if they decide to move on and let that energy infect the rest of the team. There was a story that I kind of want to tell about Durkin, but I'm going to leave some details out here because some of the details are sensitive. But Durkin was coaching hard, and another assistant went to Durkin and said, hey, if that was your kid, would you say that like that? And he said, no. And he said, well, why would you say that like that to somebody else's kid? And he looked this assistant in the eye and said, you're right. Went back to him later and said, best advice I think I've gotten my entire career. Thank you for having the guts to come tell me that to my face. Made a difference in how he coached the team the rest of the time. It's happened in the offseason. And I like that. I like a guy who can take the criticism, not overreact, make an adjustment. And that won't show up on the stat sheet, fellas. But in terms of motivating your guys to listen to that and say, you know what? The goal is to get them to do the best they can do. So if I don't need to go nuts to get them to do that, and there is a better result on the table, then maybe I'll do that. I loved that story. I think it showed a lot of character because I'm not foolish, man. I know these guys out here coach hard. They curse, they kick, they scream, they do whatever they need to do to try to get you to understand the seriousness of what you're doing. But sometimes there's a better approach, and having someone in the head position that can take that feedback and say, you know what, you're right. Small adjustment. I'll make the adjustment. Means a lot to me. Now, I'm not sure our head coach possesses that, or, as I've been told, guys are scared to tell him the truth. On that offensive staff, there are guys scared to speak up to say we're not doing the right thing here. Because dissent from him could mean your job. I'm saying a lot here, but it's time to start calling out what's happening. So when you couple all that, I want to hear about some booster talking about how close it was. No. There are things fundamentally wrong with this program that are leading to what we're seeing on the field. And they're not happening on the defensive side of the ball. Quite the opposite. You need somebody in there that can evaluate it objectively and say, okay, look, we need to make some changes to our approach. And, so when he keeps saying, oh, we got to coach it better. Okay, so then coach it better. Oh, we got to look at some change here. Like, okay, but what did it take to get you there? Could you have saved a win or two on this schedule by making a change at quarterback earlier? I get that it's a hard call, because I personally did not feel like Jackson was the problem earlier in the season. Especially not after Oklahoma, because I thought he made enough plays in that game that where if he had played like he did versus Oklahoma in the subsequent games, Auburn might be sitting here a 2 or 1 loss team. But he got worse. So it's time, man. These people behind the scenes, where are the championships to show for the decisions that you guys keep making around the football team? Show me the results of that decision-making process, and I will tell you that you need a better decision-making process. Y'all aren't getting it right. You get a lot of credit for getting these kids in the door, sure, but also in an era where we can openly pay them. So that takes a little bit off of that recruiting message as well, too. And then John Cohen told us, he said, look, man, the 2026 recruiting results are about money. Straight up. That's what he told me. I said, you don't think it has anything to do with results today? He said, no, we're getting outbid for athletes because we're abiding by the cap and other schools are not. Okay, well, if it is about money, that gives your coach less credit because when you restrict the money, the results look worse.
Yeah.
You need better results, man, at this point if you want to recruit. Because the kids that you want to go after, they're going to get that same money from almost every school that's going to be after them. Cam Coleman gets the bag from any school he wants to attend that wants him. Auburn's not special in that regard. Perry Thompson could have got the bag from almost any school. He was committed to Alabama. The kids you want can get that money anywhere. You still need a system and a plan of development that works. Offensively, I didn't see that today. They did it when they had no other choice but to do it. So I did want to add that part. I felt like we did a good job taking the time to celebrate what they accomplished today, which was getting a conference win. On the road, that should be celebrated because this was a formidable offense. Although they are terrible in some other things, this was a formidable offense and a formidable quarterback that they went up against. And he did markedly worse than he has done every other game so far this season because they stepped up to the plate and made sure that he wasn't going to be the thing that killed them in this game. So where this whole thing has to end has to be with Auburn moving the needle forward. And by the end of it, I'm not sure that it's going to be enough for him to keep his job. A 5-game winning streak, I'm telling you, like he said it after the last game, the goal is to win out. Get the Iron Bowl and we'll talk about 2026 Hugh. Until the Iron Bowl at home, I don't want to hear about any of that. Go beat Vanderbilt and get the Iron Bowl, and then let's come back and talk. Because as far as I'm concerned, Kentucky and Mercer should be in the bag. That puts Auburn at 6 wins in a bowl game. But if you lose those last 2, man, and you finish 6-6, I'm sorry. If you lose every ranked matchup on your schedule, all of them, man, did this schedule turn out to be more brutal than we thought it was going to be. Like, wow. 4 straight ranked matchups in the middle of your season, plus you got to end your season 2 out of 3 with 2 potentially top 10 matchups. Yikes. Everybody Auburn would have lost to would be in the top 16 in the country. But you were supposed to be built to win those games at this point. Some of them. You can't lose every game that matters and tell me we're close. No. You win half of them and you come back and you tell me we're close. Beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl and then come back and tell me that you're close. And I'll buy that. Beat Diego Pavia and come back and tell me we're close. So now I'll lose those 2 games and tell me after you lose to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, Missouri consecutively, and then Vanderbilt and Alabama and say, oh, but look how close we are. No, sir, you are not close. It's time for better results. Now, look, man, a win is a win. They got it on the road. I'm so happy for them. I really am. 24 points again, given up. Amazing. They haven't given up more than 24 points to anybody all season. But we got to move the needle forward here, man. And Kentucky should be a blow. There should be no sweating against Kentucky. None. 0 sweat. Beat those idiots 40-0. Beat Mercer. Figure out your Diego Pavia problem and win the Iron Bowl. Those are the only goals left in front of Auburn for the rest of the season. That makes you 8-4, and you could possibly sell to your players, okay, we got it figured out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go beef up our offensive line again in the offseason and figure that out. And we're going to get you an offensive coordinator in here, and I'm going to relinquish play calling and let somebody else get in here while I focus on recruiting and being a CEO. I know we got some supers to get to before we get out of here, but I just want to make sure I add that for everybody before we leave here.
Grab the supers real quick, Mike.
Yeah, Exclusive TV says, once we learn how to finish drives with TDs, we're good. Imagine if all those field goals ended in touchdown drives, Auburn scores like 70 in this game. Crazy to think about. Field goal. That was Auburn's second half. Insane. Anthony Long with $4.99 super chat. Thank God for this championship level defense. The play calling still sucks. Damn shame Daniels is just now seeing the field. Win the last 5, and there'll be some forgiveness there, I think, for waiting so long to play him. Anthony Long comes back again and says, offensively, we only scored 1 touchdown against Arkansas. Should he be let go after a win like Napier? That would imply that the decision has already been made. And based on what we know, I don't think that
the decision hasn't been made yet.
Yeah. Matt Barber says Gus missed on every QB he brought in out of high school, not because they weren't talented, but Gus, like Hugh, wanted them
Kyle
to
Frazier
against their strengths. Kyle Frazier, the worst QBs ever.
I get your point, Matt Barber. I get your point, but Kyle
was, oof, boy, what an experiment that was.
You're leaving out Jeremy Johnson, man.
Say what?
I said you guys are leaving out Jeremy Johnson.
Jeremy Johnson, yeah. I still think they messed up Jeremy.
I think they ruined Jeremy. I have a feeling they ruined because I saw it. I saw the talent.
Talent was there. The arm talent was there.
Yeah, I think they ruined him.
Yeah. Exclusive TV comes back with the last super chat. Has been waiting on this rant from Mike. He's fired up. If you weren't, I left the stream up, Logan, during the post game, and somehow YouTube did not cut off the game during that. It was a private stream for only our patrons, but if you heard some curse words from me, I apologize for that. But that's what watching me watch a game live is like. So you guys asked for more of it. And looking at the schedule, I think I got a couple more opportunities to do that. It's got to be an away game because ain't no way I could be in the press box cursing up a storm like that. But we're at Vanderbilt, so that's your last chance to see Mike G do that. Guys, this is a good win for the morale of the players.
Yes.
But the math of the season remains the same. You need to win your last 4 somehow, anyhow. And 2 of them should be in the bag.
You got to fix this offense. You're still at square one.
That's what we saw today, right? We saw that the offense is still kind of broken. But what does Ashton Daniels look like with a whole week to prepare as the starter? have that tough conversation with Jackson Arnold and just let him know, look, man, we're going to go another direction this week. You still need to stay ready. But he had 7.5 games.
I'll be interested to see, Ike hopped on and talked about how he's not ready to fully commit to moving on towards Ashton Daniels just yet because Jackson Arnold has moved the ball well to start off a couple games. I'll be very interested to see if he likes to go back out with Jackson Arnold after this week, man. I was
done after the pick six.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a terrible throw under no pressure. Like it was a mistake you can't make if you're a quarterback of his, supposedly of his character, like caliber. You just can't make that. And it directly led to points for a team that scores a bunch of points already. And, and you are a team that has struggled to score points. You can't put points on the board for them and then say I am ready to move on. As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done anything this year that could not be replicated by other quarterbacks on this roster. What has he done? What has he done so far this season that's irreplaceable? The answer is nothing. If you're being honest, the answer is nothing. Joe D. Wilkins with another super chat says Jeremy Johnson was a pocket passer that could run, but was forced to be an option type QB.
Right.
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
Gus has done well with mobile QBs. He's done well. Has. Perhaps the only QB he's done really well with who was a pocket QB was Chris Todd.
Yeah.
And some of the guys he had at Tulsa. He coached at Tulsa.
Man, this is a QB's game. In this day and age. Without dynamic QB play, it's really hard to win. And so, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll be interested to see if the SEC comes out and throws their officials under the bus again after this game. I thought that they stopped the game to review where Ashton Daniels' foot was out, but didn't review the obvious hit to his head while he was already defenseless on the ground.
Right.
It's incredible to me.
Right. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I know they've been taking a beating so far this year, but enough people tagged them in my tweet that I'm sure it'll get addressed. All right, let's go on and get out of here, I guess. Do we have more super? Oh, we have more super chats.
No, we good.
Oh,
You read that one. That one. Yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here, y'all. Again, as I said, we'll be here tomorrow, weekend tailgate, to give further thoughts of this game. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's gonna be easy to do that after an Auburn win. And as always, War Eagle, y'all.
War Eagle.